Though worldwide, the number of reported cases, 7,283. One of the British airline, British Airways, has cancelled its flights to mainland China, and everybody all over the world are taking appropriate steps, and Sri Lanka, of course, is not left behind. They've taken their own steps, and we had the Director General of Health Services yesterday on our program, Dr. Anil Jasinger, who told us just that, how prepared Sri Lanka was, and it seems that we are indeed prepared. And he also said that one of the ladies who had been affected and admitted to the National Hospital for infectious diseases was making good progress recovery-wise. So there you go. But also, of a matter of grave importance is the release of the forensic audits into the issuance of bonds by the central bank. And we have with us in the studio the first man to call for the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. And he's right here with us, a veteran politician, leftist as he may be. He's right here with us, on my right, Mr. Dew Gunasekara. Very good morning to you, Mr.
Morning,
Dew.
Faraz.
How are you?
Okay, keep it.
Now then, you see this here, 5 volumes. You've got one.
Yeah.
Right, 5 volumes. This is the forensic audit. The people have paid close to 300 million, without the costs associated with the central bank getting involved in it as well. So 300 million rupees plus later. What's your take on the forensic audits?
Faraz, in fact, I can only go by what appeared in the press.
Yeah.
And
been rather well covered.
And it was well covered, and pro and against various argument, criticisms are there.
Yeah.
As far as I am concerned, there's nothing new, strange has been revealed.
Oh, I see. Well,
because as you said, I was one of the first to ask for a presidential commission.
Indeed.
And also I am the first person who made the probe.
Yes. Yes, COP 1.
COP 1.
Yes, you were appointed by
the Parliament, yeah. Speaker.
Chamaraj Paksa at the time. Well, there you go. And so you feel that, was this a waste of time in your view?
No, I don't know whether the intention of the commission was to probably to get a sort of this forensic audit is something like a post-mortem, no? To go into details, no?
Yeah. The detail.
What the commission cannot possibly physically do.
Yes, but if you remember, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry recommended a forensic audit to establish the losses to the state.
Yeah.
That was, I think...
That was the intention.
That was the intention. Along the way, they found all sorts of things, but quite often, most of those big-ticket items have been highlighted by none other than the Auditor General.
Yeah. As far as I am concerned, it touches mainly 2 aspects.
Right.
Without confusing people,
Yeah.
One, the matters related to the EPF, the captive fund or the central bank.
Yeah.
The other related to the bond, the methodology.
The methodology.
The direct system or the auction
system.
That is the 2 main things. Right.
Spot on.
We have to make it clear. Otherwise, people are judging from all what appeared in the press and various interviews.
To be clear, very
completely creating confusion. Worse confounded.
So it's only...
As far as the layman is concerned...
It's 2 things.
Yeah, 2 things.
One was the captive funds, the EPF funds, and the other was the methodology adopted in issuing the bonds. That means adopted in borrowing, in raising funds for the government. Now then, there are people, but apart from that, I've cast my eye over a number of these, and what I found that is that if we begin at the beginning in terms of the primary dealers, we find that the application of, let's have a look at Perpetual Treasuries. The original recommendation made right down at the beginning where you hand your application in was not to give a license because, and they cited several instances, the lack of expertise, the lack of money, of free capital. The amount in question at the time,
300 million deposit was not available.
Yes, 300 million was not available, but it later became available, but that was debt. That's according to the forensic audits, it was debt. Now, strangely, when it came to the final decision, when it was sent to Deputy Mr. Silva, BDWA Silva, the concerns raised as to why this should not be given had been deleted. It didn't appear there in the final analysis. And so that, to me, that was a big boo-boo, if you like. There was a big boo-boo. It cost us money. And like that, there are several reasons sort of enumerated by the application processing side of the central bank not to give it. Nevertheless, it was given. In terms of Entrust, the other primary dealer, my goodness me, there was a veritable departure from due process. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Mr. Gunasekara, according to these forensic audits, they had not even supplied the certificate of incorporation, the articles of association, the board mandate confirming their application process and so on. There's 7 items that just hadn't been done, yet they got a license. It's now subject to court proceedings, but not the licensing, but the whole business.
As a primary dealer.
You see, the losses there was 11 billion rupees, including 2 billion plus rupees of the Ceylon Electricity Board's pension fund. 2 billion, more than 2 billion. And also, the central bank had invested some funds. That too has gone down the pan, thrown out. Nobody knows what happened, which is why there's a court case going on. But unfortunately, the slowness of our judicial system has meant that it's just dragging on. There seems to be no.
Faraz, not only the judiciary. I mean, I must reveal this, the fact that 5 years have elapsed. The Parliament has not debated this.
The bond?
Bond, yes. Not even the commission report was never debated. It was in the agenda, Parliament agenda is there. Dates were fixed for 2 days, but it never came.
Now,
I mean, it has not been discussed at all by the Parliament, the legislature, legislature is primarily entrusted upon by the people to deal with the finances in the country.
And that's a serious departure, isn't it? Now then, Mr. Gunasekara, let's take a look. It says, as you said, this is actually 2 parts. One is about the EPF funds, and one was about the methodology used.
Let us talk, I mean, first EPF or
yes, EPF. EPF. Now, you seem to be trailblazing. Not many people know that, but Mr. Gunasekara, way back in 2002, 2002, Mr. Gunasekara raised and asked for the antenna to be switched on, the antenna of studying and being watchful as to what was being done with EPF funds. You actually warned Parliament as to what may happen, and you asked Parliament to ensure that it doesn't happen, the misuse of the public's pension fund. But that was in 2002. Why did
2012, really.
2012,
as COPE chairman.
Sorry, as COPE chairman. But what was this? Why did you seek it fit to bring this to the notice of Parliament?
No, there was a debate in the parliament
Right.
on this. It was raised by the opposition at that time. And I was, as a government spokesman as well as, as a COP chairman,
Right.
I intervened in the debate.
Right.
And I said, I asked the government as well as the opposition to look at the whole thing dispassionately,
Yes.
see the pros
May,
and
may
cons.
I borrow that for
Yeah.
a moment,
Yeah.
please? So,
This is my speech I made in the
on the 7th of August 2012, not 2002, 2012. But you know, here you have said that there is a mixture of concerns, apprehensions, and a highly politicized misconception and misapprehensions. What made you say all these? It is almost like you're reading into the future.
really, I mean, they were not dealing with the question probably, they were trying to politicize the whole thing.
Right.
No, that is the general feature in our country, put the blame on the government or the government put the blame on the opposition.
Right.
Without both parties should collectively.
But even on the day that you made this speech, on the 7th of August 2012, you pointed out, item one of what you pointed out was that it is the biggest public fund of the country which has reached, in 2012, 1 trillion rupees.
Today it is 2 trillion.
Today it's 2.
2020.
Well,
That is 2000.
I don't know how, we'll have to congratulate all the businesses and for creating all this employment and so on, because obviously it's people's money.
Yeah.
The more people are employed, the more they pay, and the fund grows, which is excellent news. It's good news. But even there, you've made this very valid point about the operational expenditure of the fund, which had declined in 2011, it says here, was a mere 0.68%, less than 1% of the fund. So, in your view, was that good?
No, operational is coming. It has come down. It was good.
Yes,
it has
it's good.
come.
Yeah.
And also the interest accrued to the shareholders has gone up. The
Indeed.
percentage also I have given it.
Yes. Now, it says here, in the stock market, close to 90% of the shareholders are in the hands of the major shareholders. Amongst them are a few belonging to the mafia.
I got it from your paper.
SEC is the SEC is aware of these mafias. We warned the SEC. They assured us we need to enhance the powers of the SEC. They need to enhance the people's confidence in them. And then it goes, of course, says here that you take this opportunity to salute the workers who struggled for the creation of the fund. And of course, trade union leaders like M.G. Mendis, Peter Kenneman, and Mr. Shanmugadasan for providing the conception towards the creation of the fund. Of course, the credit should go to the late Prime Minister SWRD, Bandaranaike, and the Labour Minister, Mr. T.B. Ilangaratne. It's he who finally put it through.
Yeah.
Indeed. We mustn't forget, I think you've forgotten one, what about Philip Gunawardena?
No, they all in the parliament at that time.
Yes,
all the NM and all of that. I mentioned about because the head of the government and the minister in charge.
Indeed. now then, there is you've described the release of these forensic audits as another delaying tactic. But if we were looking at the EPF, we find that the investments in the EPF in terms of the equity market, the share market, that's where pre-2015 appears to have been the problem.
Yeah.
There's one side of the argument, they say, look, these are unrealized losses or unrealized gains.
To be fair, I think this thing have been happening under all administrations.
Right.
Right from the beginning. Really, for instance, there's an element of risk you must understand.
Of course.
Now you have 2 trillion fund.
Yeah.
And this is workers' fund.
Yeah.
Right? Then why is that this was, through the act, it was entrusted to the central bank? I can remember the debate that took place in parliament when we were young. And Ilangaratne and Bandaranaike both is mentioned that we can't trust any other organization. We can trust only the central bank, the bank of the bankers.
The bank of the bankers.
Only, therefore, that is why they decided to entrust, and it was a correct decision.
It was a good
and
decision.
a far-seeing decision.
It was a good decision.
A good decision.
While you're talking, I'm going to pour myself a bit of tea. Carry on.
Yeah.
So good decision.
Good decision.
Right.
But now, taking the trillion, now you can't keep the money just there.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they must enhance the interest, no?
Indeed.
I mean,
And at least it's
so that the workers would benefit.
Indeed.
When they draw the money. So you have to invest that. But investment means you will have to. There's an element of risk. No
now
doubt.
then,
where we have gone wrong was
Yes.
the investing in, say, bankrupt corporations or loss-making corporations or the stock market. And you will have to take into account the international. I mean, the international market and the domestic market. They are volatile.
Indeed.
The various turmoils and taking place. So you will have to be very cautious because of people's money. That is why they were investing, only a
small percentage.
Very small percentage
Yeah.
that they invest. So that element of risk is there, no doubt.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think in the past, under old administrations in Japan, to jack up the stock market,
Yeah.
they use this money, to.
But okay. But
So you can justify it, but risk is there.
Yes, but I also want, whilst those are commercial considerations and so on, there is also this other item, which is responsibility and the ethical value.
Yes.
Now, isn't it shameless that some corporate heads indulged in using the money of the people at the EPF to make profits for themselves, their own companies?
That is those are the areas that I really will have to. Because
isn't it, apart from anything else, isn't it shameless that they do it? I'm not, because I'm talking about ethics and so on, I don't want to name them, but they are all in the book.
I don't know whether those things can be done without any connivance. It's at least with certain officials at some level or other.
There you go.
Either EPF department or the
central bank
operation. I don't know.
Both.
So that is why this probably the commission wanted.
Well, one of the shareholders and a board member of one of those companies, after having got rid of his significant holding, of his company's significant holding in a hotel, he was quoted in the press as saying that he was glad that they got rid of this great burden. That's a little bit rich. After you've taken the public's money to sell your shares, so it was a burden for him, but not a burden on the people.
Yeah.
So I find that ethically, morally incorrect.
Yeah.
And they are in business even today. Now, how does one cope with this? What are you going to do? Can you hold people responsible for having made, like you say, there is an element of risk?
Yeah.
So,
But how you can? I don't know where. Even going by this report,
yeah.
can you fix anyone?
Well, I think.
I mean, you can generally, assign the responsibility to the central bank.
Yes. But as a result nowadays, as a result of all this, there are investment guidelines. There is an investment oversight committee, there is an investment committee, and there are voice recordings and CCTV.
That's right.
These were all put in place
That is
as a result of pre-2015 and post-2015. So they've put these things in place now. It's shocking, actually, when you listen to some of the evidence, that there were no voice recordings and CCTV, which has now been put in. If there was, a lot of these things would have been caught out really earlier. So
if you had Ranjan Ramanayake in the central bank.
Oh, yes, he should have been the director of communications then. There's now also, of course, as we mentioned earlier, legal action has been taken against the Entrust Board. But the legal system suffers from, to an extent, politicization and, to a great extent, delay.
Its interest is in existence.
No, it's not.
It was liquidated or something.
It's now gone in court. It's in court. But there's also this thing. There's now a code of ethics for the Monetary Board and various central bank departments. So that's a pretty good thing.
Kumaraswamy had done a marvelous job, I think.
I think so too.
Indrajit.
And also I think, to be fair and to get the whole intent of this whole report, one must read the whole thing as one. It's like the Constitution. You can't take it in bits and pieces. You need to take the whole thing to find out.
Comprehensive.
Yes. But what do you do to people who, as you said, there are two different things. One is the methodology and one is the EPF. Now, with the methodology, the issue that the forensic auditors are saying is that whilst the secondary market, let's call it the retail market, was at one level, trading at one sort of interest rate, the rate was at one level, the central bank at the time, pre-2015, issued by direct placement bonds with a weighted average yield rate which was higher than the secondary market. And the auditors have used that secondary market rate as the yardstick to calculate the difference and therefore the loss. What do you say to that?
You know, Faraz, this direct displacement and the auction, and what are the intents, why I think Monetary Board decided upon that that methodology was to, when the Treasury wanted money for liquidity purposes, problem liquidity, they go to the central bank asking for money. Give us, say, 1 billion rupees, we want. So they immediately use this, either of the methodology. For short-term loans, they use that direct system.
Right.
Long-term loans, they used to use the auction system. And long-term means, now that is why this so-called February 27th is a long-term 30 years. 30 year one. But the other thing, most of the other things are 1 year short-term. Now, all those loans which have been given under the direct place system for the last 20 odd years, today, they have been prepaid and nothing outstanding because they are short-term loans. If you take the whole thing, I don't know whether they have mentioned that, if you 70% of all the borrowings come under the category of the direct placement, because the Treasury wanted some money, immediate money, so they resort to that short-term 1 year one. The long-term one, of course, they to the auction system. And short-term, the distinguishing feature is that through the direct system, they first, the captive fund, they apply to the captive funds on the telephone, say Bank of Ceylon, EPF, as to find out the prevailing
the buying and selling rate,
and then they offer it. So that was the one. So that is the 70% of the borrowings have been made through that system, direct system. Now here the main point is they are trying to say, new government came after 2015. After Ranil Wickremesinghe, Prime Minister, he took over the central bank. He made the direct question of change of policy change. You should not hereafter resort to direct go for auction, which means in a sense that open it to the money market.
The primary dealer.
Private dealer.
The private money. Let me just remind the public, on Newsline Live, by the way, you can have a sip of your tea while I'm doing this, thanks to Mr. Jones, to Joe's tea, Apete. There you go. Can we just remind our listeners that and our viewers that You can send us your questions by SMS 0772 300 305. Several questions already have appeared here, and we're into our last 5 minutes here. Here we go. Somebody is very skeptical. It says here, nothing will come out of the report. The public has lost even more money. Another one, it says here, while we understand that there is an element of risk, the point here is that it should have been done professionally instead of Cabral and family and Aloysius family helping themselves. If Dew has insisted on Cabral being taken into account, Aloysius may never have happened.
I don't know. I can't. This is a question of the methodology. Really, I mean, I was taken up that position. 70% of the borrowings have been should come under the category of direct placement, and that for the short-term loans, and that for the immediate. The Treasury wanted some immediate for purpose of liquidity.
Yeah,
and that they have taken from either EPF or the Bank of Ceylon or the People's Bank or the NSB, right? And why did Prime Minister departed from this accepted position, and Arjuna Mahendra, without getting the approval of the Monetary Board, he operated on the February 24th. He got only the covering approval.
indeed.
Right. Why did he depart? Unless he had the malicious intention of helping some people in the private sector. That is why it has been brought to light. I mean, here the foreign forensic audit is not necessary. All what has been revealed by the two co-op reports and by the commission reports, it is sufficient evidence for the Attorney General Department to go and take them to courts. That is my view, is that.
Right, and
the forensic audit does not take anywhere. It only, and it gives further light also as far as certain aspects are concerned.
Indeed, like the licensing procedure.
Yeah.
Now, but I want to ask you this, and this is being reflected by several messages that we've received here this morning. Why is it that the colossal amount of money is not being recovered? It says RW is a wealthy man who's responsible for this scam and continues to live in luxury, while the majority of the islanders are living a hand-to-mouth existence.
Now, for instance, now you take the EPF fund.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not quite inclined to use that economic term loss.
Right.
I don't know whether it is the appropriate term.
Right.
Now, you say you invest on something.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that venture may say collapse due to other reasons, and you will not get a return on that capital.
Right.
So
you're complaining about the return.
Return.
Yes.
It's a return.
Yeah.
It's a not. I mean, it may be a loss of that business.
Yeah.
But as far as the EPF investment that you expect, you invested something, when that's why the element of risk is there, and you may lose. But my main thing is, whatever the government is, whoever the Prime Minister, whoever the Finance Minister, or whoever the Governor of the Central Bank is, you shouldn't have invested in certain, I mean, say for Sri Lankan Airlines.
Indeed.
You know, I mean, all auditor generals have been reporting, all co-op chairmen have been reporting, this has been debated over and over, the Sri Lankan Airlines running at a loss. Why do you want to go on the people's money?
500 million.
This report is not necessary. All auditor general's reports are there. All co-op reports are there. This has been revealed.
And it was only a recommendation by the Commission of Inquiry.
That is why I in 2012, I warned Central Bank to handle this APS fund properly. I have used the word warning. So that is not something new. I mean, has been just
now that, but there will be a section of the public who say, and we are having some messages. That's why I'm saying it, that Mr. Dugansekara is glossing over the pre-2015, that means the Cabral years, but you're glossing over the
No, if
mistakes
there's anything, so they'll go through, then file action or do whatever it is. There's nothing glossing over.
You welcome
Here,
that.
here after 2000, you are single badut samag horua huela.
Red-handed.
And 5 years have elapsed, nothing has happened.
Maybe we should,
Badut ne, horut ne, Israel kali.
maybe we should explain what has happened here. When the fundamental difference in the methodology.
Yeah.
The complaint about pre-2015 was that the issued rate, that means at the primary level, was higher than the rates prevalent in the secondary market at the time. But the argument for that is, well, excuse me, we've got to induce people to invest. They won't invest at the lower rate, but they will if you give them a higher rate. The flip side of that is, post-2015, the Mahendran years, what happened was when they did away with the other system and went for a straight auction system, it meant that the average weighted average yield
Yeah.
was not applied. Instead, it was the rate that the primary dealer bid for.
Precisely. That is the point.
That's the point.
That is the point.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And therefore, it was arbitrarily nearly 3 points where it went up, rather than the natural progression where you issue a bond at a particular rate, it goes into the secondary market and trades at that level. But here, because of that auction system, and because they departed from using the weighted average yield,
That's right.
the rate became higher. It was given at the rate that they wanted.
That's right. That is the reason.
And that is the reason.
I'm not saying for the auction system is bad. No.
But
What that departs, that is the
But what can you do now about these EPF funds, where the money was invested in what we call, you use the right word, not loss-making, but that the return on the investment is so low?
No.
Can you fault people for that?
Element, I don't know the element, that element of risk. I mean, that whether you can hold anyone responsible, right?
Right.
I mean, so sometimes commercial decisions you'll have to take, and you have to take.
Somebody is asking.
But if there's, say, certain EPF officials had been instrumental.
Well, four of them have been trading.
In the manipulation, then of course you can go.
Final question. What is the total loss to the country due to perpetual and entrust cheat and others cheating the public?
I don't know what.
We don't know.
No one knows.
We don't know. No one knows. But it's bound to be, well, at least we know the Commission inquiry said that the EPF lost at least 8,500 million. So, but the forensic audit says pre-2015 the loss was about 10.4 billion. So, I think it's a police matter. The police need to prosecute various people and find out, and then the judges can decide. But, dear Gunasekara, I hope you enjoyed your tea, and thank you for coming on Newsline Live.
But my only concern is that, using this report, I mean, well and good. I mean, for future guidance, everything is good.
Yeah.
I mean, already central bank and under former governor and the present governor, certain corrective measures have been taken for the future. But as far as, for the pre-15 question, whether you can, we have not been able to take any action, even the post-2015, where we caught the governor himself red-handed.
Indeed.
Wanted only 1 billion rupees.
Yeah.
What made Arjuna Mahendra go to the public debt department, tell the director, no, go for 20 billion. Treasury wanted only 1 billion.
But he said go for 20.
20, and she went up to 10 and stopped it. No, I can't.
Last question.
Yeah.
Will you tell the president to give her an award?
I don't want to go out. That is not my part of duty.
But as an outstanding citizen of the country.
Really, she demands.
I think so. I think so. We're bringing her on the program soon, where we can track her down. There you go. Thank you for the overrun. And Mr. Gunasekara, I really do appreciate your presence here. Thank you. And that's the way it was on Newsline Live. Take care. Have a wonderful day ahead of you. And of course, God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.